If someone tells you that a brother is your best friend for life, I'll smirk. Because in my case, my own brother became my very first enemy. His name was Michael. 2 years older, twice as confident, 10 times bolder. Since childhood, he had a way of grabbing attention. That blinding smile, that voice like a game show host. He was the kind of person everyone looked at. I was the one they looked past. My name was Zach. I was the little one, quiet, careful, invisible. No one hit me, but they broke me slowly, with words, comparisons, and indifference. It started early. When I was 6 and Michael was 8, he invited me to play a secret game. The rules? I had to hide in the closet and wait until he told me to come out. I sat there for over an hour, in the dark, my ears ringing, my throat tight. When our parents came home, he said I crawled in there to play spy, and they believed him. Dad chuckled, "Little dreamer," and Mom gently stroked Michael's hair, saying, "What a sweet brother," keeping him company. I stood there in disbelief, how easily he twisted the truth. He could lie with wide, innocent eyes, and everyone believed him. Kept happening. When he broke Grandma's vase, I was clumsy with my elbow. When Mom's money went missing, I used it for comic books. When he copied my test answers, I became the leech riding on others' work. I tried to explain. I tried to fight back. But I always lost because he was charming, and I was just the overly sensitive little brother. He called me names. Wimp. Loser. Annoying nerd. I knew he did it to hurt me, but deep down I still hoped one day he'd change. That we'd grow closer. As we got older, it only got worse. In high school, he became the football captain, dated the most popular girl, and ruled every party. I read books, wrote poetry, dreamed of college. But even in things I was good at, he found ways to crush me. When I won a school essay contest, he showed up at the awards ceremony and said, "Zach wrote this on the toilet in 5 minutes." The room burst into laughter. My teacher pressed her lips together. I stood there holding my certificate, shame drowning out the pride. He always knew how to undermine. With a joke, a glance, a perfectly timed smirk. And he always did it playfully, so no one could ever call him out directly. He was a wolf dressed as a big brother. Our parents, they weren't cruel, but they believed in Michael blindly. He was their pride. He knew how to impress them. Dad praised his drive to win. Mom adored his spark and confidence. I was background noise, reliable, quiet, no trouble. Everything I did was expected. Everything he did was brilliant. The worst part was how he crossed personal boundaries. He'd barge into my room without knocking, read my journals, mock my poems out loud. One time, he printed a love letter I wrote and passed it out at school. I wanted to vanish from the face of the earth. He laughed and threw an arm around me in front of my classmates. "Don't be mad, bro. Just having fun." But there was nothing fun about it. As I got older, I realized this wasn't just teenage cruelty. It was a system, a calculated effort to erase me as a person. He couldn't stand the thought of me being better at something. If I had a hobby, he mocked it. If I made new friends, he stole them. If I was happy, he made sure it didn't last. It wasn't enough for him to be happy. He needed to make sure I wasn't. When I got accepted into a university out of state, I breathed for the first time in my life. Freedom. Far from him, I started learning how to live, how to speak without fear, how to laugh from joy, not defense. We barely spoke, just the occasional holiday call. He was busy with his life. I was building mine. I thought maybe this was it, that the distance would break the toxicity, that adulthood would fix everything. I was wrong, because one day he showed up again, and he brought with him a level of destruction I never could have imagined. I met Claire in a parking lot. Yeah, seriously, nothing romantic. Just a Friday evening, exhaustion after work, and a car hood that refused to shut. She walked over, smiled, and said, "Did you talk to it before slamming it shut? Maybe you hurt its feelings." I laughed genuinely for the first time in a long while. Then she reached out and closed the hood herself with some weird little move, like she'd tamed it. "There you go," she winked. Handling stubborn things is my superpower. That's how it started. Claire was different. She didn't try to impress anyone. She was just herself. Her smile wasn't flirty. Her gaze was honest, direct. And that was what made her magnetic. We started dating slowly. Evening walks. Long conversations about life, movies, books. She laughed at my clumsy jokes. She actually listened when I spoke. She didn't interrupt, didn't compare, didn't try to fix me. With her, for the first time, I felt like I was enough. When I told her about Michael, she just smirked. Brothers are like that. My sister's a piece of work too. I didn't go into details. I didn't want to stain something that was only just beginning. 6 months in, I knew I didn't want to lose her. With Claire, I felt like I could build a home. Not one made of bricks, but of trust. A place where you wake up and know no one will tear you down. I introduced her to my parents. They loved her instantly. Even my father, always cold and stern, said gently, "She's strong. Having her by your side will make it easier for you to be yourself." Michael wasn't at that dinner. He was living in another city then and wasn't rushing to attend family events. But I knew sooner or later he'd show up. He did. A year later, at our engagement party. He said he couldn't miss a day like this. Showed up in an expensive suit, with that same polished tone in his voice that had always unsettled me since childhood. He walked over, hugged me, clapped me on the back and whispered, "So you actually know how to pick." Then he saw Claire, and I saw it, that flicker in his face. For a second, he looked thrown off, like she'd genuinely surprised him. Then, the smirk. Warm, friendly, a little cocky. I felt a chill, one I hadn't felt in years, but I knew it too well. He stayed close the entire evening, joking, charming everyone, pouring wine, telling stories, laughing a little louder than necessary, looking at Claire more often than anyone else. I tried not to focus on it. Told myself, "You're paranoid. He's just trying to reconnect. He's changed." But then I saw him lean in and whisper something to her. She giggled just lightly, then glanced at me just for a second, like she was checking something. That night, I asked her, "What were you two talking about?" She shrugged. "He just asked if it was scary being with someone so proper. Said you probably live on a strict schedule." I froze. That was classic Michael. Planting doubt. Tossing little jabs under a flirtatious grin. Not directly, always sideways. That's how he worked. That's how he broke things down from the inside. I looked at Claire. "And what did you say?" She smirked. "That being with you feels peaceful. And that's the best compliment I could give." I nodded. But deep inside, something had already ignited. Suspicion. In the following weeks, Michael started dropping by more often. Sometimes it was, "I was just in the neighborhood." Other times, "Left a shirt here last time." Or, "You guys make great coffee. Figured I'd swing by." Claire didn't seem to mind. She said, "It's your brother. Let him hang around. We're family." I tried to smile, but inside I was clenched, because I knew if Michael was showing up, he had a reason. He never did anything without a purpose. It started with little things. At first, I didn't notice how Claire was changing. She became distracted, quiet for no reason. Her eyes always seemed to be looking somewhere else. She laughed at her phone, but looked away when I asked, "Who's that?" "A friend," she said quickly. "Jane, you know her." I nodded, but something inside me itched. A vague anxiety I kept convincing myself not to feel. Everything's fine, right? But the more I told myself that, the stronger the feeling grew. Then came more obvious signs. I came home one evening and found 2 wine glasses in the kitchen. But I'd been at work all night. Alone. Once, I noticed a towel in the bathroom Claire never used. A faint mark on her shoulder, barely there. She said she bumped into a doorknob. I wanted to believe her. I clung to doubt, because the truth was far more terrifying than any lie. Then came that night. I came home early, unexpectedly. Claire was on the couch, talking softly on the phone. She didn't notice me walk in. "He has no idea," she whispered. I feel awful, but I don't know how to stop. Pause. Yeah, I know. I'll try. I froze. A voice in my head said, maybe she's talking about something else. But my heart already knew. She turned, saw me. Her face tightened. You're early, she said. Who were you talking to? Jane. Again? Are you interrogating me? She snapped. No, I said calmly. Just asking. She turned away. We didn't speak for the rest of the evening. That night I couldn't sleep. One thought looped in my mind. If I don't find out the truth tonight, I'll go insane. I took her phone. I'd never done that before. But now I saw no other choice. The password? The date of our first meeting. Stupid. Romantic. Devastating. I didn't know what I was looking for. I just scrolled. Then I saw it. A contact name. M. Michael. I froze. My hands shook as I opened the chat. You looked amazing today. Was he off in his own world again? You deserve real attention. I see you. If I were in his shoes. Messages spanned weeks. Flirting. Subtle hints. Then unmistakable words. I can't stop thinking about that night. It was real. Don't lie to yourself. Do you think he'd understand if wet? Told him everything? Or should we just keep pretending? I didn't breathe. I just sat there, staring at the screen. Each message hit me like a bullet. Michael. My brother. With my fiancée. It was him. I didn't scream. I didn't break anything. I just got up, dressed, and walked outside. It was 3 a.m. I wandered the neighborhood aimlessly. My head empty. My chest burning. Couldn't believe it. But I couldn't deny it either. In the morning, I made myself coffee. Claire walked into the kitchen in her pajamas. You're up early, she said. I looked at her, long and hard. Do you love him? She froze. What? I saw your messages. Silence. A long pause. It's a not what you think, she whispered. Then what is it? It's emotion. I'll support. Temporary. I'll end it. I nodded. Did you sleep with him? A few seconds of silence. Then a nod. I couldn't feel my legs. I couldn't feel myself. She had cheated on me. With him. I packed a bag. Told her I'd return for the rest later. She stood in the doorway. No tears. No apologies. Like the decision had already been made. I didn't call Michael. I didn't text. But a week later he sent me a message. Don't blame her. We just found each other. I'm sorry. I read it. Deleted it. Erased him from my life. I told our parents everything. My mom cried. My dad sat in silence. Then he said, he's no longer my son. A month later they changed their will. They were wealthy. And now everything $2 million was mine. And silence. Almost a year passed. I healed. Mostly. Until one day, someone knocked on my door. I opened it. Michael was standing there. Exhausted. Worn out. Broken. I have now here else to go, he said. Please help me. Almost a year had passed. Time hadn't healed me, but it taught me how to breathe. I changed my apartment, my job, my habits. Deleted all the photos. Threw away old things. Life became quieter. No more betrayal, but no trust either. Sometimes it felt like none of it had happened to me. That Michael, Claire, the cheating belonged to someone else's life. But on the rare sleepless nights, I could still hear his voice. Don't blame her. We just found each other. I never replied. I had decided, to me he was dead. Until the day I opened the door and saw a ghost from my past. Michael stood on my doorstep. Wrinkled hoodie. Unshaven. He looked 10 years older. He was no longer the confident man who once lit up every room. Now he looked like a broken person. Swollen eyes. Slouched shoulders. And his voice was unfamiliar. Hey Zach, he said quietly. I didn't move. Just stared at him. For almost a minute. I have nowhere else to go, he added. This isn't your home, I replied. He nodded. I know. But please, just hear me out. We sat in the kitchen. The place where I once had coffee with Claire. Where I once believed in love. After everything, he started. I was left alone. Mom and Dad cut me off. My friends disappeared. He spoke without raising his eyes. I lost everything. And Claire, she didn't stay with me. She left after a month. I listened. I didn't interrupt. Because in every word he spoke, I heard self-pity, but not remorse. I tried to start over, but he swallowed. I'm in debt. I got fired. And I found out I have a tumor. Silence. I'm not asking for money. I just don't have a place to go. I'm scared. I don't know who else to turn to. I stood up, walked to the window, stared out at the street while he sat behind me. Memories screamed in my head. His smirk while standing next to Claire. His message, we found each other. His voice when he humiliated me as a kid. His lies, my whole life. Do you love him? I don't know. I'm confused. I clenched my fists. Why me? I finally asked. Why come to me? Because you're my brother. Those words hit me like acid in my chest. Brother. I turned around. After everything you did, you destroyed my life. Took the woman I wanted to build my future with. And now that you've hit rock bottom, you come to me? Why not go to her? Why not to the person you found? Michael lowered his head. I know what I did was horrible. But Zach, I paid for. I've been punished. No, I whispered. That's not punishment. These are consequences. You thought you could play with people, that you'd always get away with it. You lived by breaking others, and you thought that was fine. He said nothing, and for the first time in my life, I saw him with no pride, no confidence. Only fear. Not for show. Real fear. Still, inside me was a storm. Revenge? Justice? Forgiveness? Do you know they left me $2 million? I said suddenly. He flinched. No. Yes, our parents rewrote the will. I thought it would make me feel better. But that feeling faded in a week. Because money doesn't fix broken trust. He stayed silent. And now you want me to let you into my life? After you burned everything down. I just need a place to rest. A bed. Quiet. I'm not asking for much. I walked to the door. Opened it. Do you have money for a hotel? He shook his head. I pulled $20. Zero from my wallet and handed it to him. Get a room. Rest. Come back in the morning. I'll help you find a clinic, maybe a lawyer. I'll help you. He looked up. Tears welled in his eyes. Are you serious? Yes, but we're not family anymore. I'm not forgiving you. I'm just choosing to be a decent human being. He left. I was alone again. I sat in that same kitchen we just shared for 10 minutes. And suddenly, I felt lighter. Not because I helped him, but because I didn't become him. Months had passed since Michael stood on my doorstep. Sometimes it felt like it had all been a dream. As if the past never happened. As if he never destroyed my life. But then a reminder would appear. A short message from his lawyer. A call from the clinic. A random photo buried in my old phone. I didn't reply. I helped him like I promised. Paid for his tests, found him temporary housing, gave him a start. But I didn't want to see him. I didn't want to hear his voice. I didn't want to know how he was doing. I chose not revenge. But not forgiveness either. I chose peace. Life moved on step by step. I went back to work. I became quieter, more attentive. I listened more, spoke less. I became more selective with people, not out of fear, but out of self-respect. I removed Claire's photos, threw away her favorite mug, the old blanket, vacation souvenirs. Sometimes her face would flash through my mind. Not as pain, but as a shadow. No emotion, just the past. A lesson. I started taking care of myself. Got into running. Every morning began with a jog. Then a shower, coffee, and a walk with my dog. I adopted a Labrador, Gray. He became my first real friend in a long time. Listened in silence. Never betrayed. Never lied. With him, I learned to smile again. He reminded me. There's still life, even in silence. One evening, I was sitting at a bar. Not drinking, just relaxing. And I noticed a woman laughing while reading a book. Simple. No fake smiles. Just real. We started talking. Her name was Ellie. Straightforward, honest, open-eyed. She didn't ask about my past. And that was perfect. With her, I didn't need to explain myself. Just be myself. Without the wreckage. We kept seeing each other more and more, until I realized I was waiting for her messages. That I smiled when she laughed. That she wasn't Claire. And that was her greatest strength. Meanwhile, Michael wrote. Rarely. Briefly. Still going through treatment. Thanks again for not kicking me out that day. I know you probably don't want to hear this, but I'm proud of you. I didn't respond, but I didn't block him either. I hadn't forgiven him, but I didn't destroy him. He became my lesson, my boundary, and now I know how to protect those lines. My parents started inviting me to family dinners. At first, cautiously, like walking around an open wound. Then just like before. But we didn't talk about Michael. To them, he was still their son. But now he was distant. Sometimes I'd catch my father's glance. And in his eyes, I read, "You became the man I always wished he would become." It was bitter, but honest. And then one day I got a letter. A real one. Handwritten. No signature. You may not read this, but I want to say, you survived where I broke. You remained human where I turned into a monster. And maybe that's what redemption is. Admitting that you turned out to be the better man. I sat with that letter for a long time. Read it again. Word by word. No tears. No anger. Just understanding. I had truly changed. Now, when I look in the mirror, I don't see the boy who once believed in his brother. In Claire. In some perfect version of life. I see a man who went through betrayal, pain, and emptiness and stayed standing. I see a man who set boundaries, who didn't let pain turn him into a monster, who refused to become like the one who betrayed him. And that, brother, that is victory.